Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be covering what are my top five recommendations for best buds to help you with Go Battle League. Which ones I think will be some of the options that will allow you to win the most matches or give you an edge against your competition as we see Go Battle League going to be launching just around the corner. So as confirmed by Mike Hoffman, let me just remember this, that it is only one level, so it goes from 2688 to 2722, so just one level. And as you can see, as he goes into battle, it's actually already applied pre the battle. So when you go and register your Pokemon for Self Arena, for example, you're gonna have to apply it pre like the CP that shows in your inventory as a best bud. So one level is not too crazy, a little disappointing, but it is what it is, and you want to learn to optimize it as much as possible. But you're going to see in this particular match that it actually doesn't matter in the mirror match against a Pokemon that is not, let's see here, I guess we'll see in a moment, that's not level 41. So I'm going to see the shield go up, and I think you're going to see them simultaneously KO from the counters. See 2703, even though it's 19 CP higher, that means that 2703 might be a hundo. So anyways, in that particular sense, it didn't make a difference, and in most cases actually won't make that big of a difference. So it's nothing to stress about too much, but you want to get every edge that you can. So when we take a look at my top 5 recommendations, I'm going to be focusing on Pokemon that max out below 2500, that are going to be meta, that are going to be pretty good, and that applying that one additional level is going to make them even better. Because it's only one level increase, there's not going to be terrible Pokemon that will become great, for example. It's just going to be like good Pokemon that become even better. So obviously some of them are very obvious, like when we go to Ultra League, you're going to see Registeel, for example. It's going to be on the list, but we're not going to start out Registeel. We're going to start out at number 12, which is going to be Blastoise. So we're going to select here, and we're going to see that Blastoise has 241 wins in the one shield at 100% level 40. If we move that to level 41, you'll see the CP is 2497, which is going to be below the 2500 threshold. And we click and run it, you'll see that goes up to 246 wins. So a pretty decent gain. Certainly helps it in some of the matchups. Then my second recommendation is going to be a little bit further down the list, but I think a pretty important Pokemon in this meta because of its moveset with Dragon Tail, Crunch, and Earthquake is going to do pretty well, and with its Steel typing is going to do pretty well against Giratina Altered, especially the ones that carry Dragon Breath, but even the ones that carry Shadow Claw, it should still be all right. So if we take a look here, you'll see it picks up 234 wins pre-level 41, and then at level 41, it's going to pick up about 5 more wins at 239. I'm not sure which one of these wins it does flip. The thing is, it could survive and then flip them, or it could just barely survive. Like, ooh, interesting against Typhlosion. Let's see here. Ooh, this actually might be an example. Let's see here. Yeah, so here's a huge example. That's actually a pretty crazy example here. So because of, it must be like a bulk point or something. Let's see here. Oh man, I don't even know. It must be because these Shadow Claws are doing 1 less damage than they were previously. Or it's really just like the 1 additional HP that you get. Let's see here. It might be just that. Yeah, I think it's just this 1 additional HP that you get in order to allow you to survive the Shadow Claw to get off the Earthquake. But that's a pretty big win. As you can see, there's a pretty big swing. Instead of Typhlosion leaving with 80 health, it leaves with 0 because it ends up losing that matchup. You might be able to IV optimize, maybe. Well, I guess it faints to the Earthquake, so it doesn't really matter. It actually probably works out a little bit better in this particular matchup, but you can see how even having like some slight HP wins And that's a pretty, that's going to be a pretty decent matchup. Well, it beats Hitmonlee, beats Gardevoir, which is going to be pretty important, especially dealing with the anti-charmers. But that's a pretty decent matchup. The next one I'm going to recommend is going to be Drapion. Drapion. Right now, when it comes to Dark Poisons in the Great League, there's lots of options. There's Skunk Tank, there's Drapion, there's Alolan Muck. In Ultra, it's just Alolan Muck because the other two of them don't max out as high. But with Drapion being able to go to level 41, so right now he picks up 231 wins with Bite, and then at level 41, it's gonna pick up another looks like another 4 wins or another 7 wins or so. You can certainly play around with the movesets. There's certainly a lot of options. You go Infestation, for example. Probably works better with Bite, actually. That's actually a pretty terrible win percentage with Infestation. And maybe Ice Fang. No, Bite looks like its best moveset. Obviously, it's going to be moveset consideration, but it at least gives you some alternatives to Alolan Muck. And if you have 100% Drapion, that's a pretty decent option. But Muck is even after that, is still the dominant Dark Poison. As you can see here, it picks up 251 wins. Sludge Wave, I think it's slightly lower. Oh, it's actually the same. But Sludge Wave, Dark Pulse, lots of options here. You go Acid Spray. I probably wouldn't recommend Acid Spray just because you need the Sludge Wave. I guess you could go. So you need the Dark Pulse for Giratina, which is always going to be a Pokemon that you're going to have to learn to check. And then you need Sludge Wave or Gunk Shot for the Fairies, especially since Snarl and Dark Pulse are resisted by Fairy-type Pokemon. So Drapion, if you want an alternative, alternative Dark Poison, does have slightly different coverage, especially if you run Aqua Tail, and Fell Stinger is going to at least be able to boost its bite. But for the most part, Alolan Muck is probably going to be your answer as in terms of Dark Poisons. As you can see here, it's ranked 41 or ranked 75, so it'll probably move up to like 60-ish if you apply level 41. My next option, and this is a contender for the best fairy types, and I think there's merit to like 4 or 5 of them. So Togekiss is going to be the bulkiest of the fairy types because it actually reaches 2,500, unlike a lot of them. Unlike Clefable, Granbull, Alolan Ninetales, Wigglytuff, they all don't reach the 2,500 CP limit, which certainly holds them back in terms of their stat potential. And then Gardevoir is very glassy. It's even glassy in Ultra League. So Togekiss is going to be the overall best fairy type, but Granbull does have Crunch, which is going to be useful, and as well has Close Combat. Both pretty cheap moves that are going to allow it to have some pretty interesting coverage. Again, Alolan Ninetales is good too. Clefable is good, but the one we're going to take a look at is actually Clefable. Clefable picks up 221 wins at level 40, and then at level 41 in the One Shield, it actually picks up 234 wins. And part of that is its ability to have some additional bulk. Let's see if we can find some good examples here. Oh, interesting. See against Togekiss. So likely, almost for sure. Here, let's take a look. At level 40. Oh no, it survives with 1 additional HP. I'm sure if we IV optimize this, let's see here. That's actually pretty optimized already. That's actually probably too good of a Togekiss as an example there. And then at level 41, it likely beats. Oh no, it still loses. Okay. Oh, regardless, like, I'm sure there's some examples we can take a look here, like maybe Gardevoir. Probably not Gardevoir. Looks like you have like a little bit too much health for it to necessarily make a difference. Yeah, let's actually see. Level 40. Yeah, it doesn't make too big a difference. So again, most of the time these are not going to make a big difference. It does pick up 13 more wins, and likely that's because it's able to get off 1 more charm, and 1 more charm deals a ton of damage. Does it allow it to have a higher win rate than Togekiss? Let's take a look. Togekiss has 223, And if we IV optimize Togekiss, 227. So it does have a higher general win rate. This is just like one particular measure of the overall Mon's performance. Obviously, you're going to look at matchup considerations between the two. But Clefable, if you want arguably the best Charmer, best Fairy type in Ultra League, then you should probably be walking 100% Clefable. My last recommendation goes back all the way to the top, which is at number 3, which is Registeel. To be honest, like Registeel picks up 262 wins, which is an incredible win rate. At level 41, doesn't really pick up too many more. As you can see, he picks up 262. Let's take a look at it doesn't even necessarily pick up the mirror match, because you're going to feign to a charge move regardless. But still, like, you want to have the best Registeel possible, just because it's such a meta-centric Pokemon, and having that level 41. And these sims obviously assume like 0 energy, 0 HP loss, all that stuff, right? But you want to have the very best Pokemon, arguably one of the best Pokemon, top 2 best Pokemon in the entire meta at its peak performance. So it only picks up a few more wins, but I do think it's still pretty crucial to walk. But if you want to get a bear, these other examples, they don't necessarily move the needle. Clefable is probably the one that moves the needle the most, in the sense that now you have the best overall Charmer in the meta. It's able to separate itself away from Togekiss at level 41. But those are just my recommendations for the Ultra League. So if we go ahead and summarize it, here's my top 5 recommendations. Go ahead, take a picture of it, all that stuff, share it, all that stuff. But really, you probably want to focus on the top 2. Blastoise does make it at least competitive as an anti-Registeel counter, but likely Swampert still better. Steelix does act as a very good overall generalist, able to beat a lot of Pokemon, able to beat Giratina as a soft check, but there's also a number of other Pokemon that could fill its role that I think are pretty good. And then Drapion does have to compete with Alolan Muck, and if you don't have a good Alolan Muck, then Drapion's an excellent replacement from a Dark Poison perspective, but doesn't necessarily beat Charmers, which is one of the roles that Alolan Muck is able to do, at least one of the ways that it's able to separate itself from Drapion. But Clefable at level 41 is arguably the best Charmer, and then Registeel is Registeel. Like, in Ultra League, it is super dominant. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.